Awesome. All right, guys. Well, welcome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for this live roundtable event on pharmacist entrepreneurs. So first, I just want to welcome our two guests. So we have Miss Emily and Jamie. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. And I'll have you guys jump in really quick and just introduce yourselves and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi. Thank you so much for having us tonight. I'm excited. I'm Emily Kirkwald. I practice some as a hospital pharmacist, but what I'm very passionate about is I have my own business called NFP Pharmacist, where I do natural family planning education. So I teach women and couples how to track cycles and use that information for health and or family planning.
Very cool. And Jamie?
Hi, I'm Jamie, and I was a retail pharmacist at Walgreens for 10 years, very stuck and burned out in my job. Then I worked with Jackie through the Happy PharmD program. I quit Walgreens, created my own consulting business where now I see my own patients based on pharmacogenomics, but provide a full pharmacist consult, and I teach other pharmacists how to really dominate the PGX space.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I think this is going to be super useful, especially for anyone out there who is contemplating coaching or, like you guys said, making a transition from where you were prior and starting your own business, which is something that, pharmacy school didn't really show us, or teach us much on how to do that really. So it's very brand new, something completely foreign from a typical pharmacist going out there and trying to start their own business. But it's totally doable. And you guys are, living proof of that, right? So I'll let Emily, if you want to go first, why were you trying to transition? And this kind of goes for both of you, but I'll let Emily jump in first. Why were you guys looking to make a transition and how did you end up getting to that determination of starting your own business?
Yeah. So I was working in inpatient pharmacy full time, and I was feeling like I was missing that patient interaction and I wanted to make a different kind of impact. And so I was really thinking I was going to transition into AmCare. And so I had been kind of following the Happy PharmD, and I also had Jackie as my coach. And I was like, oh, this coach is going to help me transition into AmCare. That's going to be great. And then, as a good coach does, Jackie's asking me, what am I really passionate about? What besides pharmacy lights me up? And it came out that I'm very passionate about natural family planning, and I'm very passionate about women understanding their options for contraception beyond just birth control. But I was like, well, I can't do that as a pharmacist. And but then it was really working with Jackie that she opened up my eyes, like, well, why not? Why couldn't you make your own position where you have the experience as a pharmacist? You're the one who knows the most about the birth control medications. So doesn't that position you perfectly to talk to people about these other natural alternatives? And exactly, it does. And so coaching was incredibly instrumental to developing my own business because I literally had never thought about that before. When I went to pharmacy school, I thought I had to go into retail or I had to go into hospital. I picked hospital and I thought I just had to find a job. And so learning that I could create a job was amazing and really what got me to where I am now. Does that answer your question, or was there a little more?
One quick problem that I'm working on fixing. Sorry, guys. Don't mute yourself, Chris, and that'll fix it.
I won't mute myself. My kids were banging outside the door, so I muted, but I won't do that again.
No worries.
Anyway, say the question again, Chris. Oh, he's muted. Anyway, why I pursued coaching was because I felt really stuck in retail. And for years, I kept scanning the job boards, just looking for the perfect job. Looking, and I felt qualified for nothing. And it was really frustrating because I felt like I have this doctorate degree, but I'm so pigeonholed in retail pharmacy because that's all I've done for so long. So even if there was a hospital job, I probably couldn't get it. And even if I got it, I would fail miserably at it because I've forgotten all that knowledge. So I just felt really stuck and started spending all my energy just looking at job boards, even though it's variations of the same kind of miserable. Yes, I was at Walgreens for 10 years, but if I got that Costco job, is it really going to be that much better? No, it's just a different flavor of the same problem. And so I was spending my energy like looking at PA schools and looking at like getting more degrees and more certifications for like to qualify for the perfect job. But then I came across the Happy PharmD, and I read Alex's book and felt like, this is it. If I invest in myself and have someone helping me, I'm going to find the perfect job. But quickly after working with Jackie, after doing personality typing and figuring out what I actually wanted out of my life was flexibility, control over my schedule, freedom to create something amazing, it became very apparent that I didn't even know this, but I wanted to create my own job and to do something truly fulfilling with my life. So I signed up for the Happy PharmD to get a better job, and I came out owning a business and like completely pivoting 180 degrees. And it's like where I feel I shine and where I'm so happy. So what I'm doing for work doesn't even feel like work. It just makes me so happy. So it's been a wild roller coaster ride. And without coaching, I would still be scrolling through Indeed.com looking for a different retail job.
No, thank you guys both. And I'm sorry. Yeah, Alex, I was stuck on mute if you couldn't tell. So, and Alex is controlling the volume. So, yeah. So, and I think that resonates to a lot of people, right? So you kind of, like what Emily and Jamie were saying in terms of like even coming out of school, you kind of were just like, either like retail, hospital, residency, but kind of thinking that was it, right? And starting your own business was such a, not even on the list, right? So I love how when you guys started coaching, you realized, what you're truly passionate about, and why not be able to create your own role, which is so cool. And technology and everything now totally gives you that opportunity to do such. So I'd love for both of you kind of to just kind of rewind and get in that mindset or state of mind of when you were in that trying to make that transition, but not really sure what you wanted to do. What was the ultimate reason? Like, what was going on in your mind to start coaching, or even was anything holding you back from doing coaching? Emily, I'll have you go first.
Sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to, what I was really feeling at that time. I was scared because even though I wasn't very happy working inpatient, I was very comfortable there. I had done the residency. I got hired at the hospital where I had my residency. Like, I was good at my job, and I didn't hate my job. It was fine, but it was only just fine. And so I was scared about, leaving that comfortable place, and what would it be like to try something different. And I think I had a lot of fear about, well, what would my coworkers think of me? What would my pharmacy school classmates think of me if I'm doing this totally brand new, unfamiliar thing? But, it was kind of weighing, well, am I more afraid of feeling a little uncomfortable trying something new, or am I more afraid of staying stuck in this inpatient job that I don't like very much for the rest of my career?
Yeah, I bet a lot of people can relate to that as well, for sure. And Jamie, how about you?
For me, it was all about the cost. I'd never done coaching before in my life, and had only vaguely started hearing about like life coaching, and career coaching was so new to me. I thought only like CEOs did that. And so to me, I was like, why should I pay someone to help me? I can figure this out myself. I went through pharmacy school. I can figure it out. So I spent so many months like investing all my time and energy into like listening to every Happy PharmD podcast, listening to every podcast about pharmacy entrepreneurs, and not necessarily entrepreneurs, like everything in pharmacy and all the options. And then it just felt like my brain was going to explode because there was so many options, and I didn't have anyone to really bounce the ideas off of within pharmacy, because all my coworkers at Walgreens are burned out. Their eyes are glazed over. They think anything like this is crazy. So I couldn't talk to them. My family supports me, but they don't know pharmacy and the market, and like can't speak my language. And so finally I was like, well, I'm serious. I'm going all in. It's worth investing in myself and like getting my attention. And so to have someone support me, but also push me forward rather than just like, oh, you're doing a good job, keep going, like to critically analyze where I'm doing, where my barriers are, and to have that help was huge, especially within pharmacy, because no one quite gets pharmacy like a pharmacist, because it's such a niche industry.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I feel like, I was in, your same shoes as I went through the program as well a few years back. And I was, my wife actually was the one who pushed me, but she had a business coach for her practice. But it was very foreign to me. I was like, a coach, like for pharmacists, like what is that? I've heard of a business coach, or I guess you could say like a life coach, but I never heard of something so specific and niche for pharmacists. So I think that one-on-one interaction with someone who's been there, who is in that profession, it makes all the difference, right? It's so much different than just having a general coach, right, who isn't specialized in pharmacy, especially knowing what's going on with the job market and different options. It's not just, inside the box. It helps you think a totally different way. And like you said, you guys made like a complete 180 from where you currently were, but that didn't even cross your mind until speaking to someone about it. So, but I would love to, for people listening, what was your overall, like your favorite parts about coaching? What did you, at the end of the day, when you reflect back on it now, what are the main like highlights that jump out to you? The benefits and even things maybe that you're still, using now, different tactics that you learned or strategies. Either one of you, feel free to chime right in.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, definitely the number one thing I got out of coaching is that I got the idea to start a business. Like, to have that kind of entrepreneurial mindset lit in me is something that I will be eternally grateful for. So that was a huge thing. As far as the whole coaching process, for me, it was very helpful to have the accountability, to know that, okay, I'm going to meet with my coach in a couple weeks. I'm going to get these things done that I said I was going to get done so that I can report back to her on them. And so that accountability piece was really key. And then just somebody to be able to talk through some of these steps that I just really didn't know anything about. Exactly. Like, I never learned about starting a business in pharmacy school. I never did like the MBA program or anything. And so I didn't know, simple things of how to get started. And my coach was able to give me some very practical strategies. Okay, here's where you can go to start an LLC, or even things like, okay, you want to sit down and think about a workflow. How are you going to see patients? How are you going to get paid to see patients? Those were, I think, the accountability and the practical strategies.
Very cool. And Jamie?
Yes, and I agree. The number one thing was that Jackie believed in me, and I told her ideas and she didn't say that was crazy. She's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's build this. And to just have someone's like unwavering belief in you and like the safe space to just think big and to put it all out there, and someone to push you to think big rather than how we usually think is just so small and so narrow-minded. And so for her to believe in me and like push me, and like Dr. Emily was saying, to have those accountability guidelines for when I'm going to get something done. Because when you're working and you have a family, it's really easy to feel like, I didn't get that done this week, but that's fine. I'll do it later. And then you get in the habit of putting it off. And so to have goals and benchmarks and then to be accountable for those, it just gets you there lightning fast. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to go back to like when you guys decided, okay, you made the decision, okay, I'm going to transition. I want to start my own business, right? How did you even, think of your business idea? Like, how did you guys like walk me through that process? I'd love to hear how each of you, like, I'm sure it was a little different for both of you, but how did you even, come about that idea of, I want to start my own business, especially for those listening. I'm sure they may have an idea, they may have a passion for something, but have no idea where to start. But walk me through, like, how did you even come up with that business idea, and walk me through those steps.
Yeah, sure. I'll just go first again. Um, yeah. So, I mean, I shared that Jackie really helped me see that I had this passion for natural family planning. And natural family planning is really something that totally changed my life. It changed like my relationship with my body, it changed my marriage. So it was very important to me. And when I learned how to use natural family planning, when I learned how to track my cycles and use it to effectively avoid pregnancy, I learned from a one-on-one instructor. And so I knew that there was a possibility to teach people how to use natural family planning. I had never heard of a pharmacist doing it. But it was, again, yeah, talking to my coach and realizing like, wait, I have all this background too. I have this pharmacist background, this medical experience. I can bring that and incorporate it into natural family planning instruction and be able to help my patients understand even more about their bodies and their cycles that way. So it really came out of a personal experience and something that was incredibly personally meaningful to me. And I think that was a big factor in me continuing to be successful with it. Because, like Dr. Jamie said, it is difficult to be a working mom and to be trying to build something from scratch. And so, if I didn't totally believe in this with everything I am, I could have just given up.
Yeah. Were there a lot of big hurdles you had to overcome that, in terms of walking through the process and even, let's say, even when you knew what you wanted to do? I'm sure there were many things holding you back, like you said, and hurdles, but what did you do to kind of get through that, to keep pushing forward and ultimately, start this business?
Yeah, definitely a lot of hurdles. I mean, knowledge gaps, like I don't even know how to start a business. I don't even know how to make this happen. But I think just focusing on what is the next step to get there, being very clear on what I wanted at the end, what did I want this to look like, and then what are the little baby steps that I can take to make that happen. Like, okay, I don't know how to start a business and make that official. Oh, I have to file this LLC paperwork with my state. Oh, I need to open a business bank account. Okay, I need to go to the bank. Like, just breaking it down into really small, manageable steps and just focusing on what is the one next step to take.
Very cool. Very cool. And Jamie, I'll let you jump right in.
Okay, well, mine is not as heartwarming as Dr. Emily's. Because that's where I was stuck for so long, working by myself. I was like, I have so many interests and so many passions, and I just don't know what to do. But then working through Alex's Ikigai model and trying to find like where my talents are, what the world needs, what's a valuable contribution, and like a gap missing in there. And I just was seeing so much about pharmacogenomics and felt like, this is huge for pharmacy, and no one, like, there's all this gap. Like, pharmacists are so educated in this space, but it's not out there. Like, I don't know anyone who's had this test to guide their prescribing. And so I went through a certification course to learn more. And by the time I got out of that course, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to start my business. This is low hanging fruit. Like, no pharmacists are doing this. There's no competition in this space. I like pharmacogenomics well enough to build a business around it. Because I know it's going to ultimately help my patients, but I didn't come from like, oh, I'm so obsessed with genetics, I like dream about DNA in my sleep. It solved a need, and it's something I love doing, where I can really help my patients in a personalized way that I think is missing for a lot of the future of pharmacy. And so it's just such an exciting place to be, because there's just not competition in the space. No pharmacists are going out there like working with offices and saying, hey, I'd like to offer my services. All the doctors I talk to are like, wow, I've never even seen a pharmacist do something like this before. Okay, this is cool. And so it just kind of fell in my lap like, wow, no competition? This doesn't exist in pharmacy. I've got to pursue this.
Well, and I love how you guys like, just stumbled upon like, oh wow, like I have a passion for this, and why not just do something with it, right? Because I feel like, a lot of pharmacists are kind of like, you're stuck in your comfort area, right? Your comfort zone, whether it's retail, hospital, or what have you. But you're like, do I really want to leave, or do I really want to do something, but I don't know what it is, or I don't know if I feel comfortable just jumping out and trying something completely new and taking a risk, right? We're not huge risk takers as pharmacists, so it's a very scary thought, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't know if I could do that. But I think just hearing how you guys came about those ideas and just decided to go for it is so cool. And I would love, for people, if you guys could just walk us through, both of you, kind of like what it is what your day looks like. What exactly do you do, with your own business now versus what you were doing before? Like, I would love to just hear how you guys implement that and what you do. What does your day look like now as a pharmacist entrepreneur? And
Okay,
Jamie, I'll let you go first this time.
Because first I have to add on to what you're saying. Like, sure, it's scary to start something new, but it felt scarier to stay. It really did. I was at the point where it felt scarier to stay and have like nothing I felt that set me apart from any other employee. Because my district manager at Walgreens was like, you're the happiest pharmacist I've ever met in all the states I've ever worked in. But had I had a raise in 7 years? No. Did that guarantee me a job? No. It was a great for my coworkers, but like myself wasn't setting myself apart. And in that workplace, it wasn't necessarily possible. And so it felt scarier to just one day be fired from my job and left flat than to start something new and grow it on the side. So anyway, that's a side note. The day-to-day, what do I do day-to-day? Oh, it's so awesome. I set my own schedule. So I partner with a practice and they have me see all of their patients. And the receptionist says, okay, Jamie, when are you here this week? And like, give us your schedule and we'll fill it up with the patients who we want you to see, which is exactly what I wanted. Because I work 3 days a week because I have 4 little kids and now it's summer break and I'm probably going to go down to 2 days a week because they're most important to me. And this is why I did this and went to all this work, to have a work-life balance. And so I see patients 2 to 3 days a week. We review their pharmacogenomic report as well as doing a complete comprehensive medication management. And I just have an hour where I sit down with my patients in person or on the computer and just answer every single question they have about medicine and about their health conditions. And it's just so rewarding because after all these years of people coming up to the counter with like their diabetic test strips and saying, can you help me use these? And not even having the time to like walk them through basic diabetic education because the phone was ringing and drive-through was going. Now I get a full, actually it's an hour and a half because it's a half hour for the first consult and an hour for the second. And it's amazing. This is why I felt like I went to pharmacy school.
That's so cool. And I feel like even if you like, as you're comparing to your old work life and now your new one, like right there, right, like alone, you just said even 30 minutes, right? But you said up to an hour the second time. So 30 minutes one-on-one with a patient is like unheard of in most scenarios, especially retail, right? That's pretty hard to do, especially with the phone ringing and a million things going on at once. So I feel like, and that's very true. I love how you said that's what you went to pharmacy school to do, because and that's very true. It's to help patients and actually get that valuable and time to actually spend with them and not feel rushed. You can answer all their questions and actually, you really, at the end of the day, it sounds like you really feel like you get to connect with your patients and make that difference and actually, be able to teach them and go over everything that they have questions about, which is so cool. I love that. Very neat, very neat. And Emily, I'll have you jump right in as well.
Yeah. My day-to-day definitely doesn't look the same every day. But that's what I love about it. I really do love setting my own schedule. I am still working at the hospital too. So I've transitioned from full-time to part-time. But it's really cool because I get to set my schedule just around my hospital schedule, see my natural family planning patients when I want to. So what I do for my services is I teach online classes. So I teach 2 live classes a month. That's like an hour-long introductory class. What is natural family planning? Because there's a lot of myths about what it is and then how you could get started. And then people take my class and then they work with me one-on-one. So I either work with individual women or with couples, and I teach them how to pay attention to their natural fertility signs, keep track of those signs, and then use that information for their health or their family planning, depending on their goals. I have now recorded that class into an online course as well. And so I also have an option if people don't want to come to the live class or they can't make those times, they can access that class on demand at any time. So that is really amazing, because even when I'm working my hospital job, I'll get a little alert that, oh, I just got paid for somebody taking my class. So that's really awesome. And yeah, so I get 60 minutes for an introductory one-on-one session with someone to really talk through things with them, answer their questions. I do work with a number of women who have decided that they want to get off birth control. Either they've had side effects with it or just decided for whatever reason they want to be more natural. So I really like talking to them about that. And sometimes they have questions about different birth control options and how natural family planning compares. So I can answer those, which is really great. I also have a free online course that's a very basic introduction to natural family planning. So that's nice too, to get people's feet wet a little bit, and again, kind of dispel some of the myths about what does natural family planning, fertility awareness, what does that really mean? And then I also do get paid to speak. So I speak at some community wellness places and also in some Catholic church spaces on natural family planning as well. So it's pretty awesome.
Wow. So I have so many questions for both of you. As you guys are both describing, I'm like, I want to ask more. So number one, that's awesome. I love how you guys are getting to spend that both of you, right, are getting to spend that one-on-one time with your patients and really make a difference, and in a very unique way, which is so cool, especially from the, traditional pharmacy, forms of work that we all think of, right, and career paths that we all think of when you're in school and everything like that. But I want to ask both of you. So Emily, you said you do part-time hospital and then the rest of the time on your business, and then Jamie, you're doing full-time though, but it's like three days, correct? But that's your full-time job now, correct?
Well, kind of. So yeah. So it's full-time. I quit Walgreens. I see patients, but I don't see them full-time because I'm also empowering other pharmacists and teaching them how to create a PGX-based consulting practice. And because so many people have reached out to me and they're like, oh, wow, I love what you do. Will you help me? So just like Dr. Emily, I have a course that people can walk through online that gives them the basic step-by-steps for what to do, what to think of, how a framework to make it as fast as possible. And that's growing a lot. So really, like, I'm seeing less patients than I expect because there's such a demand from pharmacists for a new space. So anyway, yeah, but still between those two, 3 days a week, because I have 4 little kids and they're only going to be little ones.
Gotcha. No, it's the work-life balance, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? And that's probably one of the big reasons why, right, to do coaching or to make a change with your past career was probably to improve the work-life balance and to make that much more tolerable, and also to spend more time with family. Like, it's so important, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, like, what I'm curious about is, did you guys have that goal when you started your business, right? You're like, I'm going to do this, and you started doing all the multiple parts that have to be done. Did you guys also already have the idea of, I want to start teaching others, or also have courses and things like this, or has this all kind of come together later on? Did you guys have like that idea already, or is that relatively new?
Mine was definitely a process, and my online courses are very new. I really knew that I wanted to work one-on-one with patients, and I was very excited about setting up that process. And then, slowly over time, it was just, having these, I started with the live classes and got a lot of positive feedback about that. And then, it was partly to open up my schedule even more, to be able to, be teaching someone while I'm spending time with my kids. to have this online on-demand option. So really a process for me.
Yeah,
cool.
for me, it was on my 5-year board. In 5 years, I was going to release a course. And then
Let me stop you there really quick, Jamie.
accelerated
Can you explain what your 5-year board is in case someone hasn't heard of that before?
Oh yeah, so I'm looking at my 5-year plan. I have in 1 month, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year, in 5 years, all my goals. And so that I can see them every day to keep my brain thinking big. And so in 5 years, that was one of the things, but then that quickly moved to the front of the line because originally my business structure was to create this clinic and then grow it in hiring more pharmacists under me here in Utah to like have them work for me as employees. But very quickly, all these pharmacists around the country are coming to me and saying, I want to learn what you do. And so I'm pivoting and arming them and preparing them to create their own practice. And so already this is still a baby business, but to have pivoted a lot is kind of exciting.
Very cool. Did you, I guess you probably didn't see it turning that way, correct? When you first started it, did you start training others or providing courses or helping other pharmacists? It was more for the patient contact, it sounds like initially, right?
Well, kind of. I don't truly want to like see patients forever. I love my patients, but I don't want to clock in and out 9 to 5 forever. And so my plan was to grow such a big business that's hiring pharmacists and I'm doing like the PR and talking to prescribers. Because ultimately I want to replace myself and have complete freedom in my schedule to, grow something really big, because that's where you get big impact and big income is when you get out of clocking in and out of a job and such limiting steps. If you're only earning money when you're at work, then you have a ceiling in how much you can earn. And I want to smash that ceiling to pieces and create great income for my family and push pharmacy forward. So I get to do that. And
I love that. That's awesome. Well, I want to ask both of you. So, and we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. So like work-life balance. So I'm curious. So as an entrepreneur now with your own business, and I know the work-life balance has improved, right? You have more time with your family. Now, in terms of like the work part, do you feel more energized? So even though maybe it's more work, you don't feel as, physically or mentally drained like you did at your prior role, or now that Emily, you're at part-time now at your past role as well, or current role. How does it feel overall for you compared to when you were full-time at your other roles?
Oh yeah, I'm excited to work on my business. Like Jamie said, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm doing what I was made to do. Like I'm doing what is making a big impact. And so I definitely have much more energy that I pour into my business than I did when I was working full-time at the hospital.
Yeah, truly, I love what I do and it doesn't feel like work. But honestly, I work way more now than I did clocking in and out of Walgreens because there's so much to do and I haven't hired enough staff to like truly like farm it out yet. So I'm working way more than usual. So work-life balance still is hard for me because yes, I've made progress. I'm here now. I'm not locked in Walgreens when my kids are home from school, but it's still a real struggle to have kids and always be on the computer trying to do something. And so it's exciting, but it's not like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, work is fun. There's no more struggle. Like it's still so hard to turn off because for years I would just clock out of Walgreens. I didn't think about work again until I punched in my code at work again. So now I have it always hanging over me. Like on nights, on weekends, I'm like, I'm just gonna do a little extra work. So it's a whole new ballgame to create habits that keep me focused on my family and to try to rein that work in.
Okay. No, I like that. And I just wanted to also throw in, so for everyone listening too, please, if you have any questions, you guys can toss them right into the chat and we'll also read them too. I forgot to announce that earlier. So if you do have any questions, we will read them out loud and ask them as well. So please go ahead and ask them throughout the whole time. But I did want to ask, so another big part, right, is, and I know with coaching, a huge part was networking, right? Have you guys felt that it was pretty, difficult to start networking, your business, or did you guys feel like, pretty comfortable doing that to kind of get well connected with your community or other doctors' offices and other health professionals, to get the networking process as well out there and to help people know what you were doing and learn more about your businesses?
For me, I feel like pharmacy school really pushed it on us that networking is important. And I discovered that I enjoyed networking even as a pharmacy student. I liked going to professional conferences and meeting new people and learning things. So I felt like I was already comfortable with the idea of networking and meeting new people. It definitely was a little scary to say, okay, now I'm Dr. Emily, the natural family planning pharmacist. Here I am. This is what I do. And so, yeah, coaching did help with that, give some confidence, and especially in networking as far as making those connections with like physicians' offices and other like natural, holistic health providers.
Yeah, networking is huge. And there's never been a better time to start a business, because with the internet, with LinkedIn, with all these websites like Alignable, all the people who are looking for you can find you. And it's so easy to find exactly your target client, and that avatar that Jackie helped me create, to know who you're looking for and to be able to target them both online and within my like personal connections. Working in pharmacy, I know so many doctors' offices, so I could just go and say, hey, you've talked to me on the phone for 10 years. Now here's this cool thing I'm doing. And so, man, networking is awesome. And living in 2021, it's just on a silver platter for you to take advantage of.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, especially now with, a lot of people now are more working remote. So a lot of people have a little more free time to, less time commuting or having to get ready in the morning for work. So they may have a little more time to network, which is awesome. But we'll see if more people stay, working remote as everything, keeps going on. But I do have one question. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to read it yet. So Alan, so with you guys, with side businesses in general or having a full-time business, how do you handle the personal insurance? So he said, does a company like HSPO cover the individual companies, or how do you, either one of you can jump in, but how do you guys go about that process?
Yeah, I go through HSPO. I have my professional and business insurance through them, and it was like, took 10 minutes to get a policy. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I have mine through Pharmacist Mutual, and same, it was really easy. I met with somebody and kind of just walked through my business plan, what my model was going to look like. And then I have my personal insurance with them and my business insurance with them.
Okay. Actually, this kind of goes right along with the insurance question, which I'm sure it will be different. I'll get a different answer from both of you. So how do you guys get your health insurance, like for yourselves and for your family? How does that work if you're not, like for you, Jamie, you're not working under, a big company anymore. It's your own business full time. How do you guys handle that part? Because I'm sure it's obviously much different scenario.
Yeah, luckily my husband has insurance through his employer, so I use that.
Okay.
Yeah, and for me, still working part-time inpatient, I have my health insurance through there. Okay. And then my husband covers him and our kids.
Okay. Gotcha. And I guess another one that came up actually. So how did you guys come up with your how much to charge, the price that what you offer to patients and to other healthcare facilities? How did you guys come up with that? And I love that question.
Well, I put together all my costs for the year, because as a consultant now it cost me money to work, which was very foreign as an employee. And so you have to tally all the costs you're going to have for the year, including health insurance, even though I'm not responsible for it yet. I'm growing it so that I'll retire. My husband will need insurance through me. And so to include the cost in that and then to adjust accordingly. And so I multiplied my salary a couple times from what I was earning in Walgreens, my hourly rate, to quantify, to calibrate for the the extra costs, as well health insurance, as well as my administrative time where I'm working but not seeing patients. So you cannot charge what you're charging right now. You give yourself a pay raise. Patients are happy to pay it, and it's not a big deal. It seems scary as a pharmacist to multiply your salary 3-ish times, but patients are willing to pay it, and it's something you have to do to stay afloat. And it's not necessarily like you'll make 3 times the income at the end of the year, but by the time those expenses get covered and your administrative costs get covered, it comes out pretty well.
Emily, I'd love you to chime in as well in just a second, but Jamie, you brought up a good point. So I think as pharmacists, that might be hard to say, hey, this is how much I charge, right, for my service. Was that something that you were okay with right away, or was that like a barrier to kind of get over, being like, I'm going to charge how much? Like, tell me a little bit more about that. I'm sure Emily can relate to.
Yeah, so I'm a pretty confident person, and even then it gave me pause. I had to practice saying it out loud when patients would say, oh yeah, I want to get my DNA tested, I want to come see you. And I would say, okay, this is my fee. And to not be like, oh, but like, I know it seems like a lot, but for the rest of your life, then you don't have to like guess on your medicine, to just own it. People are willing to pay for it. It's not been a big deal, but man, inside I'm like scared, wondering what they're thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna say after the first few times, you probably got much more comfortable, but I'm sure that especially in the beginning, it's probably hard to go right out and just, this is the cost.
It was hard, but now I've done it so much, I'm confident, and people hear the confidence and they see the value and they're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So.
Okay. And Emily, how about you?
Yeah. My process for figuring out what to charge was a little different, and it's definitely evolved as my business has gone on further. For me, I knew that I wanted to do natural family planning instruction. And so I kind of started looking at who are other natural family planning instructors. I mentioned I worked with a natural family planning instructor. So thinking about what did this person charge, thinking about, I knew there were other natural family planning instructors. What did these different people charge? And then thinking, okay, but what sets me apart from them? I have this pharmacist background, this medical background, so I can charge a little bit more than them. And then the more that I've practiced and the more that I hear from patients, the value that they receive, the more I have increased my prices because it is worth it, and people do pay for it to get that value. Definitely resonates with me. It was scary to say I charge this much, this is what I do. And I definitely had some of that at first where I was trying to, explain what the value is, but I think that's really where you need to come from. It's not so much about what are the dollars and cents. It's what transformation are you giving people? And when people see what the end point is, then the dollar amount doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I guess like you said, and I'm curious about your answers for both of this. And I think Jamie said, you were saying how you didn't really see many other people doing the pharmacogenomics. But for Emily, you said you did see other people doing the natural family planning. So was that, in terms of to try and stand out more, did you have a lot of ideas already, or was that also, because I feel like a lot of people, they may see they may have a passion in something, but they see a lot of people doing it, right? So kind of curious, how did you work towards, getting over that barrier and also kind of helping yourself stand apart from anyone else doing similar things?
Yeah. And that's where coaching came in too, was figuring out what is really unique about me, what is something that I offer that is different from the others there, and really having that belief in it and being able to express that belief in that value I provide.
Very cool.
And I would just say too, the thing is, I did feel this at first. Oh my goodness, there's all these other natural family planning instructors. Why would anybody choose me? But the more that I'm in it, there are so many people that are looking for this service. Like there's so many people that want this, that it's abundant. Like there could be a whole bunch more natural family planning instructors out there. If there's pharmacists on this call that are interested in natural family planning, it's a great field to go into. And so just recognizing that it's it's a mindset of abundance versus scarcity. Like there's more and more, and the more people get value about it, the more they tell their friends, wow, this is really valuable. It keeps spreading.
That's a great point. I'm curious for both of you on this subject. So when you guys picked this path, right, this in terms of natural family planning and pharmacogenomics, did you guys know right away that there were a lot of people looking for this? Or did you kind of realize that like, you're like, I have a passion for this, but we'll see how many people are actually interested in it? Or were you like, I know a lot of people are interested in this when you picked that subject or topic?
I knew there were at least a decent amount of people interested in it. I knew, because I had used it myself first, right? So I knew I was interested in it, and I knew that there were other people who were like me that were interested in it, but I didn't realize how many more people were interested in it, or the different ways that people could find out about it and become interested in it.
Jamie, similar for you as well?
That's where I saw so much potential, because I know so many pharmacists have gone through this PGX certification and they like know that it's the future of pharmacy and a big part of it. But then they're just waiting on the sidelines, scrolling through Indeed.com for a job that has PGX in it. And there's almost none of those. And those that are, they have to get like hundreds of applicants, because everyone texts me about like the same 2 jobs. And they're like, oh, have you seen this? I'm like, yeah, you and 20 other people that I know of are applying for it. And so it's so frustrating to see like all these pharmacists are just waiting on the sideline for the perfect job, when really there's so much value that comes from this. So like, let's just create an army of pharmacists that know how to do this. I walked through the process. Now I'm going to like teach them how, so they can get there as quick as possible, and to have support, because especially in the PGX world, there's so many questions because it's new and kind of undefined within state scopes of practice. And so to meet that need and to provide that value to, and as a community to like grow the knowledge together, has been really fun. But like Emily was saying, scarcity is such a big mindset in pharmacists, especially because I'll get on calls with people who are interested in joining the program, and they're like, oh, but is there a pharmacist in Texas already doing this? And I'm like, in the entire state? And they're like, oh, what about in Maine? Is there a pharmacist in Maine doing this? Like, how many patients do you think you need to be viable? There's plenty of room for all of us. It's not like only one pharmacist can do this in the state or in the county or in the city. Like, scarcity is just taking over our brains and just shuts down ideas too quickly. So I agree with Emily.
Gotcha. And I'd love to also, like, for you guys, like, in terms of you both, I know, Jamie, you did a certification. Now, Emily, did you also do something, to specialize, in case, people listening and it may be one of these topics, or it could be something totally different, right? But what did you guys do to kind of like, also kind of talking about setting yourself apart from others, but what kind of certifications or additional trainings, just for people listening who are kind of maybe interested in exactly what you guys did, or it could be something else, but how did you guys make that determination on how to go about that process?
Yeah, I also did complete a certification in natural family planning, in a specific method of natural family planning. So natural family planning is kind of an umbrella term for tracking fertility signs and using that. But then there's different methods of natural family planning based on the specific fertility signs you're using and exactly how you use them. And so I knew that I was interested in a specific method. There is a method called the Marquette Method. And so it's out of Marquette University that there was this online certification. And what I really liked about their method, besides how I saw it would be helpful in tracking fertility signs, is that they do only teach medical professionals, healthcare professionals to be instructors. And so they do really value having that medical background. They mostly instruct nurses. Nurses are the main instructors that they teach, but they take pharmacists too. And so having that certification was really helpful. I thought it was a online, like, on-demand program, so I could just, get it done when I had time to do it. But it really did give me some of that structure and just helped increase my confidence to be able to work with my patients.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
just like
Very
Emily
cool.
was saying, I did a certification program too, which was so awesome because the ones out there are between 8 and 25 CE hours. So it's not like you're getting a master's degree or a PhD, or like, it's not a huge investment, and you need the CE anyway. So to get your brain up to par and then to move forward confidently with that and stop gaining more knowledge and just start, because so many, it kind of blows my mind that so many pharmacists with master's degrees and even PharmD plus PhD pharmacists in PGX reach out to me and they're like, I need help building a business. And I feel like, what the heck? You're the one that's like the true master in this science. But unless you're getting it out in practice, like all that knowledge, a brain on ice is worse than a heart on fire. Like you're just stuck learning more. And so just to like get yourself up to, you know, what you need, but then move forward confidently and just start taking action. And what I really liked was that when I'm sitting with patients, I have time to prepare. So it's not like when they walk up to the counter, I have to know everything instantly. Otherwise I look like a doofus trying to look it up. I now have time. So even if I don't feel like I know 100%, I have the time to prepare, to bring my results before the patient in my own space rather than having to like know it all on the spot. So that's been nice too.
No, and well, actually, Jamie, there was a question here. So Alan also asked, how are successes and results measured with PGX?
I don't know what that question means.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I was wondering if he was trying to relate to something that you were working on, but we'll come back and see. Alan, if you have a little more info, bring that back up. I do like how Angela did support, though, with what you said. Imperfect action is so much better than perfect inaction. So
yes, action cures fear. Just start, and then you like create, and it grows with momentum. Inaction creates fear and worry and stress. Just start.
No, I love that. And I think, you know, as both of you kind of said, having a coach with you to kind of push you forward, coming up with more ideas and, you know, overcoming those barriers, right, is huge. And now you guys are, you're like, look what you're doing. It's so cool. Like, I love hearing all your stories and what you guys are doing. And I see, you know, everything you're posting and everything. You know, just as we wrap up, and if any other questions do come in, I will definitely bring them up quick. What would be your biggest message to those out there who are on the fence, right? Whether, depending on, it doesn't matter what part of pharmacy they're in currently, but they're like, you know what, I kind of, this sounds really cool. I think I want to try a business, as scary as it sounds, as, you know, as worried as I am about doing it. What would be your biggest recommendation of just how to get started? And I think like what we just said also is action is huge, right? Just go ahead and do it. But what would be like the, you know, biggest things, you know, takes you could recommend to them to kind of get that ball rolling?
Yeah, you gotta just do it, and you have to do it even if you're scared. I was definitely scared when I worked with my first patient. I was definitely scared when I taught my first class, but I did it anyways. And you know, ask yourself, like, what is the worst thing that could happen if you tried? What if you know, maybe you try and nobody signs up for your class or nobody signs up for your consult. Okay, well, what did you learn from that? Can you make any changes to make that better? And that's where really a coach can be beneficial too. Okay, maybe you try this thing next. But I mean, it's really what we were just saying. You have to just do it.
Yes, just do it. And failure is on the road to success. So expect failure, expect things to not go well. And that's not the opposite spectrum of success. Failure is exactly how you get there. So you just just take action, fail, pick yourself up and keep going, because it's so exciting. And I would say definitely do it. There's so much out there for pharmacists. And I felt so gloomy for our profession for so long. But now I see, like, it's like coming out of a dark cave. Like, there's so much out there, but you've got to take action and, like, in so many places, create it yourself rather than just sitting there waiting for this perfect job and getting your perfect resume for the perfect job that may not come. So like, just start. And to answer Brian's question really, really quick, yeah, just asking questions, like call your board of pharmacy. They're willing to talk to you, tell you what's going on. Ask experts in the field. With LinkedIn, you can get a 15-minute phone call with so many people who are doing what you do, and they offer advice. They share. I've probably gotten on hundreds of calls at this point with like people just asking questions, like learning from them, and definitely legal advice too. I talked to an attorney. I've never talked to an attorney in my life, but just got a pharmacist who's also an attorney to ask really specific questions. The answers are out there. So don't use that as a barrier, like, I don't know if my state will allow me. 99% chance you can make this work within your state, and it's just the way you go about it. So move forward boldly.
And same on your end, Emily, as well, with that question.
Yep. I checked with my state board of pharmacy, and then I did, meet with an attorney. We just had, one brief meeting where it really made sure everything made sense legally. She helped me, make sure I had a contract for patients, and definitely recommend that. But yeah, the answers are out there. And there's lots of different options for finding those answers.
And people want to help you. So many people have helped me along the way. So just reach out. There's never been a better time to get a hold of like anyone in the world. So
great point. And I think and before you guys jump in, and I would love you guys to provide your info, contact info for everyone listening, please. But also Brian, even it's the same question when he was asking about the legal questions, I feel like that we use that as an obstacle. So and that's a great point, right? I feel like a lot of people are like, well, I don't think I can. We can't do that, right? And like you said, a lot of times, most of the time, you can, especially if you have that consult with some legal advice. And I think that's awesome, especially reaching out to a pharmacist who is also a lawyer in your state would be a great resource, right? But also, like you said, LinkedIn opens up so many opportunities, helps you make so many connections. There are so many people you can go out there and talk to, which is awesome. But yes, so Emily and Jamie, if you guys could provide people with the best way to contact you. And I think, Jamie just posted it. Yep. Okay. Yep. So in case people are listening to the recording, we have Jamie. So Jamie at arcshealthgroup.com. Arcs is ARCHES, healthgroup, all one word, .com. And then drjamiewilkey.com. And then we have email for Emily at nfppharmacist.com. She also put her phone number here. Do you want me to
that's fine. It's my business phone.
Okay, cool. So 612-547-6659. And then also her website is on here too, nfppharmacist.com. And also, obviously, you guys are both on LinkedIn. So people can also check out any information there, reach out to you guys that way. But yeah, Alex, any other closing remarks you'd like to jump in for a second? Show people your awesome curtain that you have set up there.
Thank you. And thank you, Emily and Jamie. That was awesome. I got a few private messages from people, quite a few. A lot of people are feeling inspired. So thank you guys so much for sharing your journey and your story. Kind of makes me feel like, what the heck am I doing? I feel like I'm just sitting on my butt half the time. You guys are taking names, kicking butt. Way to go. And what I'd like to do is just take a few moments and invite some people into a program that we're launching. If this is your first time ever hearing me talk, I've been doing the Happy PharmD now for 4 years. And at first I thought it was going to be all about helping pharmacists start businesses. But what I found over and over again is that the majority of people want a new job. So I shifted my entire business into that. And that's what you learn a lot when you get into something. And what I have learned, though, is that there are people like Emily and like Jamie that are pharmacists and they're ready. There's maybe not as many of them out there as there are pharmacists who want a new job, but that's what you guys are here for, right? You're here to either grow what you have or start something new. For everyone that's in the group, could you just write in the chat that you're wanting to either start something or you have something you're wanting to grow it? So just write start or grow. I'd love to know, just to kind of get a feel for where people are at. I apologize for the visuals. I'm noticing that my skin tone color keeps changing. Start, one, grow. Don't be shy. Or maybe we lost people to distractions. I don't know. Start. Okay, lots of start, some grow. So you guys are the first people to ever really hear me talk about this and what we're working on behind the scenes. In fact, actually, Jamie, I've had a brainstorming session with you about this very idea. We, as a company, want to help pharmacists, entrepreneurs both start and grow their businesses. It doesn't have to be a pharmacy business, but it's great if it is, because that means that you're going to be hiring pharmacists in the future. And a long-term vision for us is to create a network of businesses that want to hire great pharmacists that work with us, obviously, as a career coaching company. But why you're here is to either start or grow a business. So what we're putting together is a program. And in fact, I think Jackie is actually here still. She's going to be helping me as well. And we have two programs that we're working on. One is called RX Launch, where we're going to be helping pharmacists start something in 3 months or less, or we're going to be doing RX Growth, which is helping pharmacists double their revenue in 3 months. These two programs, they are coaching programs. And the thing that I like about both of these is that we're going to be doing a Shark Tank-like competition with both of them. And at the very end of the competition, we are giving the winner a $1,000 minimum grant for their business. We're really excited about this. I'm super excited about it because the goal for all of this is creating more jobs and obviously helping you start your business. So whether you're thinking about, I want to create more revenue for myself, more money, or more time freedom, Emily, I can really relate to the whole email notifications. I remember listening to a podcast by this guy named Ryan Gray, who was a medical doctor, and he shared on the podcast, it's so addicting to get notifications that you made a sale. And at a certain point, it gets too distracting, but there's something like, oh, I haven't done anything today and we made money.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's so satisfying. It's so
Really is.
maybe a little bit capitalistic. I don't know, but it feels great knowing that you built a system that is working for itself. It's doing things without you, and it's bringing in money and income, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So for this program, we have a full money back guarantee. So follow our guidelines. And if you don't launch, if you're in the RX launch group, or if you don't double your revenue, your money back. This is being recorded. So, our name is on the line with this. We don't want you going into the program and saying, that kind of works, but not really. We want you joining to either start what you want or get your money back. Because it's not worth it to us to help people who ultimately their businesses don't go anywhere. We want you to be successful, which should mean hiring more people, growing your business, you getting more freedom in your life, more freedom in whatever it is that you are wanting to get more of. So I have a link that I'm supposed to share. And what this is a simple questionnaire that kind of just asks some questions about where you're at in your journey for entrepreneurship. It helps us kind of know what your background is. And then you'll be hearing from us in a phone call so that we can figure out where you are in your journey if you want to join RX Launch or RX Growth. And we're also open to any questions that you may have. If you feel like now's not the time, we are going to be doing this again in the future, but with this first group, we are doing a really, really low price. I know for a fact for the RX Growth group, it's like $500 a month for 3 months. So we've never had a program be that low since 2017. And with it, we're going to be going through each month the major pillars of starting a business if you're in RX Launch. So it's picking the business model. It is validating your strategy and creating an irresistible offer. So ideally, by the end of the program, you'll be ready to accept revenue straight into your business. And if you're in RX growth, it's all about systems. You heard Jamie and Emily talk about systems. It's all about building systems, because what we find too often happening is that when people start their business, it's chaotic. It's based on them. It's based on emotions. That's the way my business was. And we found that through building systems, repeatable ones over and over again, you're able to not only grow, but really scale your business. So if you're interested in any of that, if you're interested in doing a Shark Tank competition and winning $1,000, if you're interested in just joining a community of other pharmacist entrepreneurs, we'd love for you to join us. I'm super excited about this. We're not blasting this to the entire world because we want it to be a very private experience, private community. Oh, so much of work has been going on behind the scenes. And I know Jackie is in the audience. She's probably smiling ear to ear because she's worked with Emily and Jamie in their journey. And so much, I think just great things are going to happen with this. So anyways, we'd love to have you in the program. Emily, Jamie, Chris, thanks for hosting this roundtable tonight. If anyone has any questions, maybe I'll stick around for a few minutes, or you guys can as well. Any other final comments?
Do this. This sounds amazing. I love that you're creating this. This makes me really happy. And man, for that price, that's amazing.
Yeah, sounds incredibly valuable.
No, and just to echo what Alex said, thank you guys both again for joining us tonight. Like, I think, like, with everyone listening, so much valuable information, and also being open to have other pharmacists ask you guys questions. I really appreciate you guys, being able to join us today and give us all this insightful information. It's awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.